speech and they have to get the speech of that.
Well, learning this evening the Breishis of the Rebbe from Parshas Breishis, Mavochim HaChodesh Marchesban of Toshin Nun Beit. And the learning is taking place in the Beis Knesset, Chabad Tsfat, Asher Be'ir Hatika, Be'ir Kodesh Tzfat, Tchoina Sabeinu B'mheil V'yameinu B'gol Amidis V'Shleimo. And tonight is Thursday evening, Kochov, Tishrei, Moitzei Kofei Tishrei, which is the outside of Levitza B'Tishra. We welcome the bracha, all the mishtachim in the class.
Amen.
So the Rebbe begins with the famous Pizgam Yadua, Pizgam Rabbeinu, Nesienu, Chabad Breishis, Noigas V'Kol Hashon Kula. It's well known, the famous remark or epigram of our sages. But the Rebbe brings it down in several places in the Likutei Sichos, sometimes in the name of the Rebbe of Tzemach Tzedek, and sometimes in the name of his father-in-law, the Rebbe Rayatz, who brings it down in certain of his Sichos. And he also mentions that his father, the Rebbe Rashab, was very accustomed after the completion of the Hakofas on Simchas Torah in the afternoon, and after the Siyum of Musaf and Mincha, that the Rebbe Rashab would always say, now is the time for the beginning of the Yankov Holak Ladarka. He would say it like in a way of announcement to all those around. And then there's a story that in the old days in Lubavitch, exactly at what period, I'm not able to say exactly, that they used to, after Mincha or after Mariv, Moitzah Simchas Torah, they used to give a bang on the bima, the gabbai of the shul. They used to give a bang on the bima, and he used to say, "V'Yankov Holak Ladarka." Now is the time for the beginning of the Veda of Yaakov goes out in the way after all the Gilum of Tishrei. However, a bit more than that, the Rebbe says that this famous remark of our Rebbeim says that the way you, and that's what he adds now, Azevi Mishalzik Avek, Chabad Breishis, the way you literally present yourself and the way you stand yourself on Chabad Breishis, Azoi Gate Agantio, that's the way it's going to be the whole year. In other words, the way you present yourself and the way you report for Judy, as you might say, on Chabad Breishis, well, that's the way it's going to be the whole year. That Bukido set the tone for the whole year. So the Rebbe says we need to understand B'meh mitbatei amiyuvet b'Shabbat Breishis. What is the expression of such a speciality beneged to Shabbat Breishis as compared to any other Shabbat of the whole year? So the Rebbe says, "Shadavki memina nimshach al kol hashonim." What is so special about this Shabbat that it has an effect and it's literally influences and is felt in all the Shabbos and all the days of the year to come? So the Rebbe says, L'choira, that's the token of Kol Chodesh Tishrei. The Indian of Tishrei is that it's a general month. As a well known, that the word Tishrei is brought down in the Balaturim and the Rebbeim bring it in their Maimorim, that the word Tishrei is Oisius Breishis. In other words, that the whole Tishrei represents a beginning of the whole year, which means that it's a Chodesh, Harashis, it's the month which is like the beginning of the whole year, Ukiyadua, that all of the Moedim in Chodesh Tishrei, and there's many of them, as one known. Tishrei is called in the lesson of the Medrash, Meruba B'Moedas. It has many Chagim and Moedim in it. Hina Moedim Klolium, all of them are general, very general Moedim. Shemihem Nimshak Al Kol Hashana. As a well known, that every Yontif in Tishrei has a general effect on the whole year. And he says, Echel Mi Rosh Hashanah, everything begins from Rosh Hashanah. What is well known, that Rosh Hashanah, Nikru B'Shem Rosh Hashanah, oh, Shalom Aleichem, Shalom Aleichem, Rohim Abayim, man was by the Rebbe. He must be by the Rebbe and to be back already. They should give him Shalom Aleichem. Nobody seems to be particularly impressed by it.
We don't want to interfere with that.
You know, by the Rebbe. Should come to give him Shalom Aleichem.
Yeah, definitely.
We didn't expect it.
So the Rebbe said that the special characteristic of all of the Moedim of Tishrei, that they're all kloli, and therefore the first one, which is Rosh Hashanah, as the Alter Rebbe teaches us in Likutei Torah, that it's called Rosh Hashanah. Yeah, not the beginning of the year, and not the first day of the year, but it's called the head of the year. And so the Rebbe says, as the Alter Rebbe tells us over there, Ki hu harosh akoila b'toikoi umanik as kol yemei hashana. Just like a rosh has in itself all the nervous connections with all the Avodim, and all the Avodim are somehow or another rooted in the brain, and therefore it has a governing effect on the whole body. The Rosh is like the leader, the powerful leader of the whole body. So in the same way, Rosh Hashanah is a day which is koil in itself all of the year, and it's also like a leader and a boss over the whole year. Yom Kippurim, and the same way as Yom Kippurim, what it's well known that in Yecheskel Hanovi, he calls Yom Kippurim also Rosh Hashanah. There's a lesson in the Pasuk of Yecheskel Hanovi, in other words, that Yom Kippur is also a Rosh of the whole year, when they get to Tshuva, or when they get to Aliyah, Dveikas, in a Kodesh Baruch Hu, L'mayla Mimedida Vakbala, and that has an effect on the whole year. In the same way, Chag HaSukkot, Zman Simchoseinu, as a well known, that it has the effect of Simcha, so mitzvah, Al Kol HaShana Kula, and it fills the whole year with the Inyan of Simcha. And like we see that we learn the Inyan from Simcha by all of the Moedim from Sukkot. But so Mata, but Chagecha is written Davki B'Sukkot. Yeah, and Ad Shmini Atzir, the Simchas Torah, what they are, well, as it's well known, The word Atzeres is from Russian Klito, how do you call it? Oh, wait a minute, I'm sort of not on the right.
Yeah, I was wondering.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No one
I've
said
been
a
reading
thing.
it. I was reading the inside of the Sefer. I forgot that we learned the, what do you call it? I apologize for that. I always get something mixed up. Anyway, השיחה פוסחת בפסגם רבסיין נשיאנה הידוע, אז if we must Shavek Shabbos Breishis, like 8 Akantior, the way that you stand on Shabbos Breishis, that's how it goes the whole year. V'hainu Shabbos Breishis Davke, Izu, HaKoivas is Anhoga V'Ashpoos Nimshechas L'Kol Yemei Shana. That determines how it's going to be your conduct and the type of ashpur that's going to be nimshah on your day, your contact into every days of the year. It all comes from the Shabbos Breishis. So the Rebbe said, Yesh Lahovin, Mahu Ochein Amiyuchat B'Shabbos Breishis Al Panei Kol, Chodesh Tishrei. What is so special about Shabbos Breishis compared to the whole Tishrei? Sharei Ki Yadua, Tishrei Hu'esh is Breishis. That we said, as put down in the Balaturim and in the Maimon of the Rabbeim, that the word Tishrei is Oishis Breishis. U'Memayadei Chodesh Tishrei Nimshavitz HaBrochis V'Ashpois V'Kola Ashona. Each particular Moyed and Yontav in Tishrei has a general effect on the whole year and brings Ashpois Klolias to all of the days of the year. U'Meyachish Ashpoa Kol Ashona Nimshechis Mikol Chodesh Tishrei. The whole of Tishrei, each of the Yom Tovim in a different emphasis on a different plane, but they all have that general effect. Madua im kein mitzaynim b'miyuchad Shabbos Breishis b'kesher lezeh. Im kein, why do we say Dafki Shabbos Breishis was as an effect on the whole year? The whole of Tishrei has anyway an effect on the whole year. So why do we specialize Shabbos Breishis? So the Rebbe said the Nakuda of the Biyah, the point of the explanation of this question, Shabbos Breishis mitzayenes es ha'ma'avar. Shabbos Breishis embodies the, what you might call the passage, and the in Yiddish it's called an Ibergang. It goes like the passing over from Chodesh Tishrei into the hemshech of the, what you might call the ordinary year. And particularly the Chodesh Cheshvan, as well known, is a month where there's no Yom Tovim in our Torah. The Chassidus Yom Tovim in Cheshvan. And therefore, Chodesh Cheshvan is possible to call it a so-called ordinary month. And yet we see that what Shabbos Breishis does, that it's like a sort of a bridge that links between the generality of Tishrei and the beginning of what you might call the ordinary Seder of the measure of the whole year. Vehi mahava mamutza hamachaber. He said it comes out that Shabbos Breishis is a go-between which joins together Bein Tishrei l'shar Chodshei Hashana. It's one on and considers the concept of a mamutza. A mamutza means like a go-between point, and it has in itself like two aspects. One held sharp to the higher aspect, and one held sharp to the lower aspect, and it's able to join the two of them together. Mitzad, the linking of the Ashpur Elyona and the Ashpur Tartoina together, and therefore it joins the two extremities there. That's a mamutza. So he says that Shabbos Breishis is also a mamutza between Tishrei and the other month. Achilot bein Chodesh Tishrei l'shar chadoshim hu, And what is the difference between Tishrei and the other months? Chodesh Tishrei Meruba b'mitzvahs u'kedusha. The whole of Tishrei is full and is packed with mitzvahs and with sanctity, with kedusha. And therefore Tishrei is elevated and withdrawn, how they call it. It stands in a form of separation and of dollar from all the other months of the year. Shehem Chodshei Chulin, in inverted commas. What Chulin means, what we might call ordinary things which are not necessarily kedusha. I think you've taken on yourself a very heavy job after having come back from a long journey to come straight to you. But anyway, whatever. So therefore says the Rebbe that all the other months compared to Tishrei are like chulin, how they call it. Chulin means like ordinary, not the union of kedusha so much. So he said that Im Kain Tishrei is like the mamutza, which, Shabbos Breishis, is the mamutza which joins these two separate inyonim altogether. And he said that it joins together the Shah Chodshei Hashana, Shehem Chodshei Chulin, She'ika Avoda Behem, U'binyan Ha'olam, U'b'uvdinda, the whole, that then you're busy with inyonim of the world, and with what the Gemara calls Uvdin Dechol, activities which are shayah to every weekday thing, not necessarily to Kedusha Be'etzem. Mashenkin, in Tishrei, almost every hour is full of Kedusha and full of Hashpah, from the great Moedim and all the mitzvahs that we're either preparing for or we're doing as a one-man. That you're preparing the whole time. As soon as you get to the Rosh Hashanah, you're preparing for Yom Kippur. And then the 4 days between Yom Kippur, and you're building a sukkah and you're looking for your Arba Minim, and you're chasing around with tremendous energy in mitzvahs and in Kedusha. How much more so the whole 8 days of sukkahs and Simchas Torah, Other months are not like that. Other months is the Ika work, is where you're working on a much more simple and what we might call weekday level. So Shabbos Breishis links between the two. Shabbos Breishis is like the what you might call the summing up and the bringing to a finality of Tishrei, because it's usually the last couple of days in Tishrei. And then Cheshvan is the beginning of this ordinary Uvdin Dechol type life. So Shabbos Breishis, on the one hand, brings all Tishrei to join up to those days. At the same time, it begins and gives you koyach to go into the ordinary everyday life. So that was the Rebbe, Lochein, Anoga, B'chedesh Tishrei, B'chlal, Ein HaMashpia Kol Kach, Al Anoga B'meshech Kol HaShana. I mean, that's for sure, that whatever you do, Tishrei has an effect. He said, but it doesn't have a so direct effect on all the things you do of the year. She'arei lav davke, she'yuklo le'isnag b'chodesh chodshei ha'chulin, ke'b'chodesh ha'meruba b'kedusha. It's very difficult in a simple month to be the way you were in Tishrei, where you're involved the whole time with tremendous kedusha. It's difficult to say that you will just automatically bring all that kedusha of Tishrei into the every, what you might call the more weekday months of the year. So he said, Davki Shabbos Breishis, or Davki that Shabbat, which is on which we read, we'll soon discuss about it more. We begin the whole creation. Yes, Davki Shabbos Breishis, Koilelas B'toicho, it's called Chodesh Tishrei, V'heinas Avoda to Chodesh Cheshvan, which indicates the idea of Chulin, B'yoysa, Mechad Gisa, due to the fact that from one side, the Indian of Shabbos Breishis is a siyum and a sachaku, how do you call it? It's like a completion and like a summing up, you know. A person is still Shabbosdik, he's been away a couple of days, weekend, he's still Shabbosdik, he's still under the influence of all that amazing Kedusha that there was during Tishrei, and he can sort of, as it were, build it up and sum it up in his feelings and his mind. And from the other side, however, Shabbos Mavochim Chodesh Machesed. And it's well known that a Shabbos Mavochim has a connection with the month that it blesses and gives koyah to go into that coming month. Shebekach misbateis tchilas aveda binyonei achulim. Yeah, the fact that Shabbos Breishis and Mavochim Chodesh Chulin, well, that means that it's an expression of the beginning of your Veda and like giving you the power to go into the Veda of everyday life in the Chodshei HaChulim. And therefore, since it, as it were, combines within itself these two tremendously different but yet nonetheless linked aspects, therefore, B'koigel HaHamshik is a matzav Hanayle shall Chodesh Tishrei l'shar Chodshei HaChulim. Therefore, Shabbos Breishis has in itself that power to bring the very elevated state of Tishrei into the other, much more everyday months, Shol HaShonah. V'lochein anhoga b'Shabbos Breishis zu hi shemashpia al kol HaShonah. It has more power, even in the whole Tishrei, in that regard, that it's able to have an effect on the whole, because it links itself both in Yonim, and it's still like the Sachako, the summing up of the whole of Tishrei, and yet it's linking you with the everyday, and it's bringing you and preparing you for the everyday beginning of the everyday months and everyday life. So therefore it's able to be mashpia, the way you act with brazen will have a very capital effect on how you are the whole. So the Rebbe says, so the Rebbe said, that inyan in Shabbos Breishis, that has these two, and it's a mumutza, which links within itself and binds within itself these two key factors, well, that's in the very toigan of Parshas Breishis. Ba'amedubal al Brias Oilam, the whole inyan of the Kriyas HaTorah and the toigan of Shabbos Breishis is the creation of the world. ובקריאה זו מתחדשת הבריאה שכל עניוני האוילום לשון הקדושה. And since we read that in the Torah, then it's like we're renewing the whole inner of the creation in a way that we make it specially new for this coming year. I mean, the creation's there anyway, but the Kriya and the living in the whole message of the creation on Shabbos Breishis, well, that, as it were, sets the tone for the whole of the coming year. And that also gives the koyah to go into the world and bring the message of Ruchnias salvation into the world. So therefore he said, and this thing has special emphasis right at the very beginning of the parsha. He said, Chazal doishrim alamila Breishis bora Elokim b'shvil ha'toira shenikras Breishis tarkoi u'b'shvil Yisrael shenikro Breishis tavo hosei. So Rashi brings it in his pirush, in the second remark that he makes on the first pasuk. Rashi said, something wrong? I can't read.
Kenny, what do you want?
I want him to read something.
Question? Shaila.
did we not bring in a new light? Oh yeah, you mean during Tishrei? Oh, for sure. But it's a very elevated light, and we want to bring that light into the details of all the coming week type living of the other month. You know? So how do we take it tremendously elevated? I mean, during Tishrei you feel very, very elevated and separate because of the divine light that's shining in. So the question is, how do I bring that divine light and that tremendous elevation of the Simcha of Sukkot, yeah, and of Simcha's Torah? How do I make that affect my ordinary everyday actions on the whole year? So he said, I've got to bridge somehow and make that light, not put it out or ignore it, but I've got to make that light come down into everyday life. You follow? Well, that's the core of Chabad Breishis. Chabad Breishis is like a linking point between the two. You follow? That's the point we're making. So therefore he says, Rashi says on the word Breishis, Rashi says that Ein Mikra Zeh Oima Ela Der Sheni, that it's one on, that the word Breishis grammatically is always connected with something else. The word Breishit is like the beginning of something. So always you say Breishit something, Breishit of this, the Breishit of that. Over here it's just written Breishit, you know, without any other word or noun following it. So Rashi says, what does that come to teach us? It comes to teach us that there are two rashis. There are two things which are rashis, and one is the Torah, and the other is Yidden. So it comes out of Izeh. The Rashi sort of goes out of the normal flow of the Psukim, which are talking about the creation of the world, and he makes a very interesting, like, tachlis or spiritual or aim type remark in the flow of the whole. And then in the continuation of his words, he said, but if you want to say the simple pshat, then it means at the beginning of, you have to put in a word at the beginning of the making of the whole creation, and then it would make sense. So why doesn't he say that first? And then he'd say Medrash Agoda or something like that. Breishis, but he puts first of all the not pshat thing, and then he brings the simple meaning. So we're going to see that the Rebbe learns out of the whole thing. So he says, I know, shetaklis u'matoras habrio yibeshvil hareishes. In other words, that the statement that the whole creation was b'shvil Torah and b'shvil Yidden is talking about what is the taklit and the aim, b'shvil. If I made a thing for this, then I'm not talking about the actual bria, I'm talking about what is the aim and what is the taklis of the bria. Taklis u'matoras habria yibeshvil hareishes, yeah, halo yehem ha'Torah v'Yisrael. So he said, appear there, u'kemovan al derech hadrush. Well, that's more like in the line of how do you call it, a spiritual interpretation. It's not the simple pshat. But each of the fiat pshat, meduba raises habriya. And that's what Rashi himself says, that you have to understand like another word, and then it begins flowing. So first of all say that. So V'yidua says the Rebbe, shekasher yesh shnei pirushim v'mila achad, when there are two different explanations in one word, ari yesh b'neim shaykel, there's some sort of connection. Kalema, ein pirush ador shekol echem mehem ha'ave pirush nifrad, keshel ha'atzma. Whenever you have two pirushim, al pitoira in one word, then those two pirushim must have a connection. They're not like two separate, two separate issues that have no connection. So the Rebbe said, for example, Lamashal Benin did not. Al pi adrosh, al pi spiritual interpretation, appeared by Breishis who rak Torah of Israel, what do they represent in the form of an aim and a tachlis? The Shoilo, Pirush al Pi Pshat, Shemeduba, al Breishis Abriya. And the Chayra, that tends to negate the simple pshat that we're talking about the Seder of the creation. But what actually happened? What is the purpose and who are the leading factors in the creation? That's something else. We're talking about the simple flowing of the creation. We have to say that this pirush adds something to the pirush HaPoshet. It's not something separate, but it's a linking factor which adds to our whole understanding of the whole Pasuk. וכאן צריך להורים, הרי התורה בישראל הם נעלים מהבריאה. Now, in order to understand this, the Rebbe brings down from the Medrash Rabbah in 2 or 3 places where it's written that certain things were primordial to the actual creation. And one of them was Torah, and one of them was Israel. There were actually 6 things, but without going into all the details of what the other 4 or 5 things were, which means that both Torah and Yidden are primordial. They're before the Bria, which means they're much higher than the Bria. So why does Rashi mention something which is much higher than the whole Bria before he mentions the simple pshat? First of all, say the simple pshat, which has got to do with the flow of the creation, and then bring a higher remark about what is the additional spiritual interpretation. הרי התורה בזמן נעלים מהבריאה של העברת, ואם כן היכן הקשר בין שני הפירושים רחוקים לגמרי, these 2 pirush don't seem to add one to the, or don't seem to join, but they seem to be separate. The simple pshat is the flow of the Bria, and here we're talking about 2 things which are much higher than the Bria, and they don't seem to link together. They seem to be like separate Israel. B'yoisa, Doris Bia, and that was the point that we were just making. The Masha Rashi, Pirushi, Latera, maybe Shnei Pirushim Eilu, Kasher hu Maktim as a Pirush al Derek Hadrut. The Rashi puts first the Derek Hadrut. First of all, he should have brought the simple pshat, and said that, then said the Drut. But first of all, he brings the Drut, Beshvir HaTorah B'Yisrael. ולכן הרי דרכי של רש"י בפירוש הוא, כפי שהוא עצמי מעיד, יהיה דרך הפשט. אני לא יבוסי אלא לפשוטי של מקרא. Rashi himself says that he always comes out with a simple meaning. Is מדוע איפה? Is אם כן, why is it that נדרשו כאן לפירוש הראשון? So he says, why is it that שהוא עצמי מדגיש כאן, שהוא על דרך הדרוש? Why does he go then and seem to prefer the first pshat, which is al derech drash? Bo'ed she'hapirush hasheni u'lefi hapshat. It would have been better to put the pshat first and then say the ve'im ochen yesh l'homi pirush zeh. And if you do have to bring him, madua davke oisei maybe Rashi koidam. But pirush arishan. Like it's like the Ikar, he brings that as the Ikar. Elamai, we have to learn that this fact that Yidden and the Torah are essential and higher than the whole Bria, and they're like the aim and the purpose of the whole Bria, that is something essential to your knowledge of the simple facts of creation. That somehow or another, your knowledge of the ordinary order of creation needs you to know the Torah and the Yidden are the tachlis. There is a word, the aim and the mator of the whole Bria. That is essential to the flow of your simple knowledge of how the Bria was created. So he says, "V'akushya mishchazeket yoter lo divri Rashi koyim lechem." Rashi himself said before that that l'chayla hoisa Torah tzrika le'atchil me'achodesh hazeh la'achem. L'chayla, in the first Rashi, Rashi says that the Torah should have began from Chodesh hazeh la'achem, which is Parshas Chidush HaChodesh, shehu ha'mitzvah harishona. In Parsha B'Shalach, it's the first, or Parsha Yisrael, it's the first mitzvah which is mentioned in the Torah. That's what should have been, that should have been the beginning of the whole Torah. Because the whole Torah is the mitzvahs which were given to Yidden. Yeah, there's a special reason. The Torah began with the Sipur Habriya. If that's the case, then Rashi said that we're out, we need, for some reason, which we haven't gone into yet, we need to tell you about the flow of the creation. That's very important, why he didn't start off with the mitzvahs at the beginning. So if we need to tell you about the creation and not about the mitzvahs, well, that should be the first and most important thing. First of all, in the next period, Rashi should mention the flow of the creation and then say that you got two things, Torah and Yidden, that they're like the aim of the whole Bria. We're not talking about the aim of the Bria right now, we're talking about the Seder of the creation. So therefore, said the Rebbe, we need to understand why did Rashi sort of juggle the whole thing so interestingly. First of all, he makes a very interesting remark right at the beginning. And he said, well, you know, why did we start off the flow with the story of creation? And he said, we have a reason why we do that. And we'll go into that a bit later. And so, if so, we need to start off with the creation and with the story of the creation. And immediately he writes, what is the matarah of the creation? And then he goes back to the creation. So if the main purpose of this whole project is to start off the creation, start off with the creation. What do you tell me? These two things which are higher and beyond, they're like the ultimate aim of the whole creation. Tell me first of all about the creation. So the Rebbe says the Nakuda, the point of their explanation of all this, כאשר מדברים על כך שישראל הם נעלים יסוד מן הבריאה. If you're already talking about the fact that Yidden are higher than the creation, Breishis הבריאה, יש להבחין בין שתי בחינות. We have to, as it were, carefully pay attention to two inyonim in this whole concept of something being like, as it were, the Breishis, the beginning of something. He said, ישנו העניין של עליונוסם של ישראל על כל הבריאה, היינו היסם דבר נפרד ונעלה ומרומם מהבריאה. So the Rebbe says, there's an inyan that the Yidden are like beyond and higher than the whole Bria. If I say that they are the beginning, meaning they're like the aim and the purpose of the whole creation, well, that means that there's something very elevated and nifrad and makes them higher and beyond the whole Bria. However, here it's hard to say that that's what we're talking about in the actual flow of the Pesukim. It would appear that we're Ela al Malosim Betoika Bria Atzmo. We seem to be talking about the Mila of Yidden, if they have such, inside the Bria and connected with the Bria. Kasher Betoich Chelik Mea Bria Arehem Haresha Achelik Hanayla Sheba Bria Atzma. Oh, Shekak Moira, another and second period in the word Breishis shows that it's the chelik harishon v'anayla mihadov gufa. If I say, for example, Breishis Tfuasoi, Truma, it's called Breishis Tfuasoi. So first of all, I have the Tvua, and hidden in that is the Truma. When I withdraw the Truma and I make it, and I say, oh, that's the Breishis. And now it's become something very elevated and special, because I've elevated it from the, but before that it was all part of the Tvua. So in the same way, if I say that Yidden are Breishis, then there's another implication, that they are really part of the whole Bria. It's just that I've separated them off, and I've made them like the Truma or something special, but they are related to the Bria. So that means that there's like two ideas in this idea of Breishis. One is that they're completely moved out, raised like there's something higher and beyond, they're primordial to the whole creation. Another implication of Breishis is that they are actually part of the creation, but in that kufa, they're like a special in which we're going to separate them off, and they're going to become like, as it were, a key factor in the whole Bria, but they're part of it. So the Rebbe said, well, that is the Ikka that we're concerned with here, that Yidden are actually part of the Bria, but they are a very special factor in the Bria. And Rashi is going to point out to us that it's so important that you know that special factor in the Bria, mixed as it were with the Bria, that will affect your whole relation to the creation, if you know that. Yeah? That the real speciality are Torah and Yidden. Yeah, so he said, that means to say that they are the Breishis Tfuasoi, Shenema al Yisrael, Shaharashis he chelik bilti nivrat me'atavur atmei. It was there inside all the Torah, and I've just elevated it out. But that means that it's all originally part of the Torah. So the Rebbe said, let's look at that the way it is in how Yidden have got a very amazingly special aspect to them as they're part of the whole creation. They're mixed up and involved in the creation. So he says, Biyah ma'alosam shel Yisrael b'ter Breishis abriya yuvan al piyah mavua betanya ki ma shenema uvona v'chato mikol am v'loshen eina musav al nishomes. Well, that's what the Alter Rebbe in Perik Memtes in Tanya, he explains to us what is written in the Torah, Vanu v'chato, that you have chosen us from all peoples and all tongues, is not referring to the nishomas of Yidden. It's not referring to their souls. Eladavke ala gufa chomrei. It's referring to the physical, how do you call it, material body. Hanidme b'chomriusay legufei umasoilom. If we take just purely the physical makeup of a body, then all the bodies of all the nations of the world are the same. The body of a Yid and the body of a Goy, on the purely physical level, how they're made, they're the same. So the Rebbe said, we're not talking here about the fact that, for example, a Yid's got a more edel body because he eats kosher. And so kosher affects her. So that's something which comes already from an outside, further influence, that he keeps mitzvahs and he does things that they make the body more, as it were, delicate. But if we take the pure physical makeup of the body and we ignore what might be a certain mindlet to it, then the physical makeup of the body, the etzem, how do you call it, material makeup of the body is the same. So the Rebbe said, since they're the same, well, that's how it is that you can choose. And that's why we say that that's where the Eibishter chose Yidden, is tafki where there's two, as it were, equal things. Because where two not equal things stand in front of you, and you choose the better one, it's not better, it's not right to say that you chose it, because it's got a mila to it, and the makeup of a man is that where he sees a mila, he will go for that. And, whether he didn't choose, there was something that, anyway, it was foreseen that he would go that way. Where can I say that the Eibishter chose, after when the two things are, so therefore forget about the edelkeit of a Jewish body. Just let's take the pure material building of a body, then the Goyish body and the Jewish body are the same. So that's where it tried to say that the Eibishter chose. When he had two equal things where there's no preference one on the other, that's where he chose. But in the souls, it's not trying to say that he chose. Because the soul of a Yid is a chelak halakah memal, and the Goyim don't have that level. So it is an ein arok mile in the Jewish neshama. Shemitzad zeh hu b'chad. And therefore it's not trying to say that that's the real bechira. But the real bechira is dafka where the two things are exactly the same. And that's where the Eibishter chose. Yeah, we'll come to that later. We'll talk about that later. Exactly what is our effect. We'll soon come to that, but building up the case right at the moment. So, that's where the Eibishter made a choice. Davki in the Guf HaChumri, which is Nidma b'Chumri, Yuzi l'Guf Yom HaZoilam. Adova Muchak, al pi hayidua, ki ikar shol inan ha-bechira, hu ha-dovas dova echad al pi mishnayu, loi mishumai loi so amisuyoma shel adova hanibcha. That a bechira is not a choice in something that's got a preferable aspect to it compared to the other thing. The choice is that he chose that laloi shum siba hagionis, without any explainable reason, but that's why he chose that. Let's say I've got two identical cups of coffee. There's no reason why I shouldn't take one over the other. I just choose, and I don't really have any real reason why I did that. That's something lamayla mitam v'dat. So the same way, when the Eibishter chooses the Guf HaChumri, then it's without any reason. Shekain Mahuza Shel Bechira Cholshiyat, the whole very essence of free choice is Hu Adovas Dova Masuyim Kasher Ait Hakayim Hu Yeza Me'afshoras Achad. In other words, that the whole union of Bechira Cholshiyat, who is preference of a something, Kasher who Yeza Me'afshoras Achad. Kasher Bechira Nafs is Magnus Maila Mesuyemet, Akayemet Bedova Shaim Bezulosei, Va'abeicha Nitzkach LaMaila Mesuyemet Zu, Harei Lamaisa Ein Kan Klau Mebchinas Shel HaBoicher. It's not that the Boicher has played a role here. He is automatically taking the more preferable thing. So he's not really involved here. But where the two things are equal, then he becomes involved. Why? Because he has determined the status of this one over the other. So that is the emerson concept of Bechira Cholshiyat, which means that the Bocher, he and the Dover that he chooses, they become united in the sense that that was completely for no reason except that he wanted it that way. And by the way, since that was the case, it becomes everlasting. It remains that way because there's no reason why it was like that. So that means that the Boicher is not given to all of that because he didn't have any reason why he chose it. He's linked with that. Mitzad he's etzem, umahuz, to that thing. And that's the Maila of Bechira Chofshia. So therefore he says, Livcha v'dova shenim mi'achav, hu einena matim l'tzrocho, v'ari hu be'etzem muchach, livcha v'dova zeh avu matara. So he has some sort of aim. In other words, not him, but the aim that he needed. Of where he makes a free choice, Chofshiyas ha'bechira shaychas davke, kasher hadvorim shorim l'chalutim. But again, a trochov shel haboicher. The boicher doesn't need either of them in any particular way. For all noisenes, b'fnei haboicher, nesunas b'fnei haboicher, shtei efshoriyas, zohus, umitoichem haboicher hu, v'lo kol echreyach, ela meretzoyni ha'chofshi, ba'achas mehem. He has absolute, free choice. He's not affected in any way by either one of them. So that is the Maila, that is the inyan of something which he chose, purely mitzad his etam. And that thing is chosen to him and united with him mitzad b'chira chofshi. That means that it's mitzad the etam of the Eibush. And since the Eibush is beli sof, or beli, then it's like a expression of the essence and makeup of the Eibush in the thing that he chose. So they become everlastingly part one of the, and linked, one with the other. But not because of any preference in the dover that he chose. So that's what he chose, mitzad atzma. Abba Meir says, the Rebbe, from that we see that there's a Maila in the Gufa Yehudi, not in the Jewish soul, but there's a tremendous Maila in the etzem Guf of a Yid, because that's what the Eibush chose. And not in the advantage of the Guf, but in the simple material makeup of the Guf. So he says, U'adova, יאף נגיע לבחירות של הקודש ברוך הוא, שיהיה אפשר לומר שהבחירה היא בנשומת ישראל. The whole module which we've just given is in the bechira of HaKadosh Baruch Hu in the Jewish body. שהרי בזה ישראל מובדלים in the neshama, ישראל המובדלים ונעלים לגמרי מאמונס העולם. The neshama is incomparably higher. It's not shy bechira. Ela bechira is a kabbalah baruch davke b'aguf. U bechira chachumri davke in the material aspect of the body. Hanomuk beyoyzah shaloi shebezeh hu nidme la'umas ha'olam. It can be compared to the goyim. Yebezu bacha hakadosh baruch hu la'loi shiba v'hechreach. Ela l'mayla mitam v'da'as. The Eibush that chose that could be beyond any reason and any tam v'da'as. Avamela, or pizeh nimtza, ki adarabba, le'acha b'chirosih shel HaKadosh b'guf ha'chumri shel Am Yisrael, harei shebo yeshna mayla gedola afiyu al pnei ha'mayla sheyesh bohem mitzad atzmo. In other words, there's something in the Bechira that the Eibush made in Yidden, which is more than the Maila that they have in their own soul. In other words, they have a Maila that they have in the Neshama, a very high Neshama. The Eibush didn't look at that. He didn't choose them mitzad that. He chose them mitzad the Gufa Achumi, because that's like the rest of the world. Of Amir Kudosh, that the choice of the Eibush in the Gufa Achumi is more than the Maila that didn't have in their own soul. Yeah? And that gives them a Maila which is everlastingly special mitzad the very choosing of Hashem. That the Yidden have a Maila even without the choice. Ela mitzad ma'alo yisayim she'ena kayem es bumas ha'olam. They have in the neshama Mailas which are not there by the human. Mitzad ishmosum, ukayeta b'zeh, and similar things. However, here the Bechira was Shekain Davki Boy Yeshna Bechira. Davki in the Gufa Chumri, a Bechira Shalikojipo, or Bechira Mitias, Umi Atzmusa, Umahusay. Like we pointed out, the Bechira is Davki from the very atom of the Eberstadt. If a male, even more than what you are as a special person, a Yid, you have a Neshama, that's not your speciality. Your real speciality is that Hashem chose you, and there's no reason for it. And it's only mitzad Him that you have a speciality, not mitzad yourself. No, He chose you. Of a male, Lefizekum days, they didn't have no reason yet to hold themselves adequate, special and say, oh, you know, we're the Am Hanivcha, the chosen people, because it's not their Inyan B'klal. If it would be mitzad Neshama, then they can say, we're higher than everyone. Oh, but that's not why Hashem chose them. Hashem chose them purely mitzad Guf. Of a mela, that gives them a mila which is purely mitzad Him, and not any mila that they have in themselves.
The Goyin? The Goyin?
Huh?
The Goyin?
No, the Yin, the Abbas that chose.
Chose their will?
Yeah. If it will be mitzad the Neshama, then the Neshama is higher than the Goyim, incomparable. Over here the Guf is the same. The actual material Guf is the same.
Yeah,
And that's where the Avesta chose the Yid. So Kunda is the Davki in the Guf over here, but that's where the Ike Atzmas, Hashem is linked to his Bechir. You follow? But Mele Kunda is that's the whole Inan of the Mila of Yidden, mitzad Bechiros Eishalikos. So therefore he said, Zehuim Kein Apiros Bekach, Shemalosum Shal Yisrael, Breishis, Ukafihim Betoich Abriya Atma. If Amela now, it makes very good sense why Rashi said, Breishis Tevuosai. Yeah, they didn't know the Breishis Tevuah, because the Breishis of the Tevuah is part of the Tevuah, and then it becomes elevated. Of a minute, they're part of the actual creation, and in the part of the actual creation, they're the rages, they're the choice thing which is being specialized out by Hashem. Yeah, he kavishaim betoich abriya atzma v'loi rak kavishaim nailem me'abriya. Shadaki bedakosem kavishaim chelik me'a'ilam ha'chumri Nikeres behem bechirosei, Shalakot Baruch. Davki way they're part of the world, and Davki the way they're similar to the whole rest of the world. But that's where Hashem put the unbelievable stamp of His Bechira, and they become completely elevated and different from the whole world. Mitzad Him, Bilvad. Of a mela that follows the Fizeh, of a fratzeh, Hadova Mishtava, so this is also the Mila of the Torah, that the whole Mila of Yidden is Davki, they're part of the creation. The same with the Torah, that it's the second Reishis, Al Ho'ilam, Sha'af V'Negir Torah, Shleimuzi, He Davki, Kavishan, Staushela, Bo'elam Hazeh Gashmi. That's well known that the whole Ika Taklis of Torah is Davki, our Torah is here Lamata, not our Torah is in the Olam Hazeh. Our Davki, our Torah is here Lamata, and that's what we say in the Piyut. On Sivlas Torah, we say about the Torah, Toiv Sachro Michol Schora, that the business you make with Torah is better than all the merchandise that you sell. Shav Kasher Torah Nimt is Beilam Hazeh. Yeah, B'Hashua Linyon Schora. It's compared to merchandise. It's better than all the other merchandise. In other words, and therefore the Goyim, they are forbidden to learn Torah. It would appear that if so, if she come down into the world, that she shouted every bug gamba, גם אז ניכרת מהילייס הקדושות של התורה ששייכת אך ורק לישראל. Over there we see that the Torah is in the world and it's part of the world, and yet it's also separate, and it's got a mila that it has in itself. It's part of the world, and that's precisely Torah, but it has in itself a mila which separates it all from all the rest of the world, that the goyim are not allowed to have any part of it. Yeah, we're soon coming to it. Let's be patient. It's very complex, so I'm trying to get to the main point. So it follows Lefiza, the Torah and Yidden are davke, their speciality is davke how they are part of the world, not how they are primordial to the world, but davke how they are part of the world. Al Piko there, moving hated. It's just that the Torah is a little bit different. That the Torah, even how it comes down into the world, it still remains in the Kedusha that it had to make. The Yin, the way the body is similar to the rest of the world, but that's only shy mamish to the world. So Torah always has a slight, but the fact that it is mixed up in the world and yet it's completely separate from the world, well, that indicates the choice of Hashem, Davki in the Indian of Torah, similar to the way He chose Davki the Eden, the way they're mixed up and involved in the whole world. So he said, Al Piko there, moving Heidev Ativuk Ben Shnei Pirushim, Breishis, Abriya, Vater Yisrael, that they are Nikra Reisha. So he said, we'll now understand of the two factors that we see that on the one of Breishis has to do with the beginning of the Seder of the Bria, and here Rashi says that it's got to do with these two special entities, Torah and Yidden, but they're the whole, as it were, aim of the Bria. Shekein zeh, Torah of Israel, Nikroim Breishis, who gufed Breishis shel Bria. They are part of the whole Bria, but they are like as it were the leading and the main aspect of the Bria. But the Bria, the way the Bria is, in that Gufa, they are the leading aspect. Hainu shebetoika Bria atzmo. V'lo kafi she'en nailim imena, hareim nailim b'yoyze. Not the way they are nailim mitzad atzmo, but the way they are nailim mitzad the choice of the Eivashter inside the world. They are like the whole tatlis and the whole inner point. And that's why Rashi, that's the reason why Rashi marked him. Rashi makes first the Pirush Arishon, Shu Adrush, the Pirush Hasheni, which is the pshat about the creation. Shekein Lamaitza, Zeu Be'etzem Pnimis HaKavona Shel Matzias Ilon. The whole Pnimis HaKavona, why there's a world, well, that is the Pirush HaPoshah, Breishis Bora, Matzias Ilon. So the Rashi says, what is the Pirush Pnimi in Matzias Ilon? Shal Yoda it is Gala Milas HaBechira BeYisrael. The Tavkid should be revealed, the Bechira that Yidden made, that the Eibishter made in Yidden. Achi Yogish Ba'ilom, it should be felt. But Parshas, Uvdas Yoisam, Nailim Misha Chelchei Abriya. In Yidden are anyway higher than the whole world anyway. But the Eibishter wanted that they should be higher and better, and they are like the center and the point of the whole world, the way they are part of the makeup of the whole creation. And in that there's an essential link between them and the Mahus of Hashem, which makes them the center of the whole Bria. And therefore Rashi involved the drush of the greatness and the centrality of Yidden in the flow of the creation. Because if you don't know that, you don't know what is the main pnimis of the whole creation. In other words, Hashem didn't want us to know just the Seder of the creation. We have to know in the creation, not beyond it, but in the creation, what is the center and what is the main point and what is the ultimate aim of the whole creation, how it is in the creation. That is the amazing link between the two things that Rashi made. And therefore he said it's even more important that you know the fact that Yidden are the Tachlis than the actual flow of the Bria. For then you will have the right attitude to the flow of the Bria. The purpose of the Torah is to tell us the flow of the Bria. But right from the very beginning, you got to know what is the leading factor in the Bria. And so then the Rebbe goes on to teach us, it comes out that really in every aspect of the whole creation, it doesn't matter what and how, Yidden are like as it were the main point, and they are the main factor. Which means that, and they are the purpose, and they are the purpose how it's linked with the very essence of the Creator. So that means that wherever Yidden are, they are, the creation is not a balabos over them, but they are, as it were, the determining factor in the creation. And it's tremendously important that you should know that. First of all, in one's own avoider, one needs to know that ultimately the world can't stop you from being what you should really be, because you are beyond and you are the purpose of the whole world. So if you just get cracking, then you must come out on top, and you must be a governing and affecting factor in the whole. The second thing is that no matter where you will be, since all the Yumas O'ilam only came about because of you, you're the main factor, then the Goyim don't have the right to be balabatim on you. And therefore the Rebbe says we find certain halachas that Yidden, wherever they are, particularly in the Golas, they have to follow the laws of the Goyim, not because the Goyim have any real shlita over Yidden, because the Eibusha wanted that would be the Seder during the Golas. Or not because we're frightened of the Goyim or we're in some way. And therefore the Frierdiker Rebbe, when he went from Kostroma over to when he went from the prison over to Kostroma, and he spoke to all the Yidden, he quoted his father as saying that the Goyim don't really have any shlita when it comes to inyonim of Yiddishkeit. They don't have any control over Yidden. And over the eternal laws of the Torah, nobody's a balabaz. Only the Eivus are Yidden. Yeah? That's what the Frierdiker Rebbe said. Why? Because that in effect is the situation. It was that the Rebbe, when it comes to Eretz Yisrael, what Rashi stresses in the first verse, just how important Eretz Yisrael is to this whole thing. Well, I can't go into that right now in detail, but that's in effect why Rashi puts in what he does at the beginning. Therefore, when it comes to Eretz Yisrael, we don't have to listen to what the Goyim say. We don't have to be frightened of what the Goyim are saying. We have to pronounce to the whole world that Eretz Yisrael is really part of the whole purpose of the creation being given to the Jewish people, that they should carry out their leading function in the whole Bria in the best possible way, which is in Eretz Yisrael, according to the Bechira and Rotzen of Hashem. Of Amel Goyim have no right to mix in and dictate anything. And if Yidden will stand the right way, it must become, a fact that they are an effect of. And therefore, the Rebbe says, all this leads to two ultimate, what you might call resultant outlooks. Number one is that no matter where Yidden are, even if they're in Golas, the Goyim are not shoilet of Yidden, and Yidden don't have to be scared of the Goyim. They have to respect the laws of certain Medina, because that's what the Eivus said, not because they have any real shlita over Yidden. That's number one. And because the Eivus wanted good relations, there shouldn't be war and pleasantness between Yidden and the Goyim. And the second thing is that nobody can dictate to Yidden when it comes to the key factors like Eretz Yisrael. That is the divine decision which Hashem made part of his choice in the whole very essence of the Jewish body. He put that into Eretz Yisrael, and he said that's where he meant it really to be. But the Goyim have no right to interfere with that, because they are only part of a whole plan which isn't the main determining factor of that plan. And he said the truth of the matter is, the Rebbe says toward the end of the Sina, the truth of the matter is that the Goyim themselves know that. They know really that Yidden are the determining factor in the whole world. He said therefore they call the holy book, they call it the Bible, which means the book, and they say that the Yidden are the chosen people. He said the majority of Goyim, no matter where they are, they will sometimes in conversation, they will refer to Yidden as the chosen people. That brings it there. So what does that mean? What is the chosen people? So if it was the chosen people that these guys have some, they're very special and therefore Hashem put them until, no, Hashem chose them purely mitzad and purely because he wanted, for whatever reason known to him, we don't know. But he chose Dafki Yin Lamayla Mitam, and that's why they're the way they are. And the Goyim know that, and the Goyim, in what you might call their higher sense, they are aware of the fact that the Yidden are the Am Hanivcha, the chosen people. I remember when we were kids, and you used to hear the expression, the chosen people, and that meant the Yidden. Okay, that's the way it was. And Goyim are aware of that fact. And there was the Rebbe that if you will go the right way with the Yidden, with the Goyim, and you will stand firm, then they ultimately, they themselves don't want to be forcing you around. They, deep inside, they would like you to say the truth. And if you do, then you must come around Victoria. You must reach the right result. The whole big amazing part of the Sikha deals with this whole thing. And the Rebbe refers very sharply, he doesn't call him by name, but there was some Rav in Eretz Yisrael that said in the Zman of Goddess we are meshubed to the Umas Oilam, and we have to do what they want, and we have to give in to lachatz on Eretz Yisrael. And the Rebbe goes to town, the Rebbe says, how can a Rav say it? It's Hebrew, the whole Torah, and he points out, on the basis of the whole Sikha, the Rebbe shows it. Oh, it's amazing. And therefore, we have to be mishchazi that we are the chosen people, not because we're a great people. We are a great people in Tzadam Neshama. But that's not the reason why we're the chosen. We're the chosen people because the Atzmas chose us. And that's what the Alter Rebbe says, we don't know why. But that's the ultimate Indian. And therefore, all the Umas and everybody, all are part of the aim, which we are the leading aim. We are the goal of that aim. You follow? So once people realize that, everybody will fit into what is the real plan of the whole making of the creation, the way the creation is in this physical world, not the way it is in Olam Habri. You follow? Everything must come good. And that's what people never understood, that the Rebbe wasn't an extremist, and he wasn't, how do you call it, a super Zionist, that he was tiny, that, Eretz Yisrael belongs to Yidden. No, the Rebbe was tiny, Lefi Etzem Yesod of the whole Seder of creation, and all the Midrashi Chazal, and Rashi, and everybody. That this is the Yesod of the whole creation. And you have to know right at the beginning who are the leading aims and the leading goal in the world the way it is, not the way they are promoted to the world, but the way it is in the world the way it is. Unbelievable. Once you chap the basic idea, and Rashi stresses that, And he said, you have to know that first before you know how the world really functions. First of all, you have to know who are the real determining goals. And it's absolutely, that's mind-boggling. And that's, if I make it make sense, all the things the Rebbe said about Shleimus Ha'oretz, all the things, all the wondrous policy of the Rebbe when they get everything connected with that, so it all makes sense. We're only talking about the flow of the Bria, the way it really is meant to be. And we're only just aiming for the emissary aim of the Bria. The Chaim, everybody. And you should have a good Shabbat. Oh, and so the Rebbe said that's why it is that Chabad Breishis is the same. Just like Yidden are prior and they're higher, but they're part of the world, and their priorness is in the way the world is. Oh, that's Chabad Breishis also. Chabad Breishis belongs to Tishrei, Muvdomiyot, but it goes down into the world, and there it brings the highness of Tishrei into the world. And that's basically what Yidden are. So Yidden and Chabad Breishis are all linked together. Have a good evening, my gentlemen. And I'm sort of, it was pretty tough going. You know, it's an unbelievable message. And the more, as the day went by, and yesterday I started looking into the Sikha, I began to get a whole new, view of the way the Rebbe approached it. It's simple, it's not political. It's not got to do with, preference of one particular party or movement over so much, or, it's got nothing to do with political, lobbying or anything like that. Garnish. It's got simply to do with the whole makeup of the Bria in its pashtas as a Bria. If you want it to work good, you've got to first of all know what was the point of the whole thing. And that was the Yidden, and then everything else will have its point as well. It'll all fit in. And the Yidden should be able to carry out their task. They got the Torah, which is also the same as them. Yeah. And that's the message hidden behind the whole thing. It's all just like a simple equation. When you study the Sikha carefully, it all comes down to a very, nobody's chipping with anybody. Nobody's starting off with anybody. Nobody's got a political quarrel with somebody. It doesn't have to do with all that. It's got to do with the simple flow of the creation. And that's what the Rebbe said, that when you try to force the giving of Eretz Yisrael back to Arabs, you are doing them a bad turn. You're not helping them. You're draining them into something which is not what they're meant to be. And ultimately, it's only going to damage them. It's not going to be for their good. Because it's not the spirit of the actual creation. The creation, in a simple sense, doesn't function that way. And when you think about it, it's just an amazing formula. It's just a whole new view of the situation. Therefore, I remember I once traveled in a taxi from Yerushalayim to Bnei Brak, and there was a big leading, what do you call him, Mizrahi fellow was he had something to do with the Mabdal, And I got into a conversation with him, and he said to me, you know something? He said, ultimately speaking, he said, if we would have listened to the Rebbe, then things would completely look differently this very day. And he said, I must admit that none of us really understood the Rebbe. He said it to me. He didn't say he was going to change his whole life, but he admitted at least that he never understood the Rebbe. And my eyes were just tolling out, when I heard that. And I was decent enough to say to him, well, you see, I told you so. because ultimately it was a Rahman. Ultimately it's a Rahman. Chaim.
Fine.
With the mashke.
And tonight's the Moitzoi, the Yotzeit of the Reb Levi Yitzhak The Reb Levi Yitzhak even though he was not able to go fully in the way of the Alter Rebbe, but he trusted the Alter Rebbe, and he never allowed it to in any way break the bond of faith and connection that he had with the Alter Rebbe. And therefore the Bedichua never came out in favor of those who said anything improper about the Alter Rebbe, even though he may not have been able to hold in his own feeling the tachlis with the Alter Rebbe, but at least he knew that there was some unbelievable speciality in the message that the Alter Rebbe had from the world, and he was faithful to that. His devotion to the Alter Rebbe was absolute, and their friendship, and therefore it's one on that the Alter Rebbe said that he has love for the Bedichua Ahavas Nefesh, that he's admiring love for the Bedichua is Ahavat Nefesh. That's what the Alter Rebbe said about the Bedichua. That's the great message that you must never be a chochem, you follow? And the Bedichua realized that he knew that he may not be able to grasp everything and live it fully, but don't be a chochem, don't come out against it, don't say anything. Realize that there are higher forms of truth. And that's the greatness of the faithfulness, of the friendship of the Bedichua. And he was an unbelievable Goen in Torah, and yet he had this tremendous loyalty, ultimately, to the Alter Rebbe. That's one honor when the Alter Rebbe went to the prison. He sent a chosed to the Bedichua with a pidyon, asking that the Bedichua give him a blessing for going to the prison. The whole story about it, the whole story came up.
There's a knife.
Yeah, I do.
The whole story. The Alter Rebbe sent Moshe Velenkin. He sent him with a pidyon to the Bedichua.
Das ist süße Wein und das ist trockene Wein. Das ist süße und das ist trockene.
Was ist das?
Das ist ein süße Wein und das ist ein trockene Wein.
It's no longer game for the things.
Trunkene.
What does Tukana mean?
Dry.
Oops.
What is it?
Amen.
Thank you. One more. Assembly line.
It's funny, I just wrote a letter to somebody yesterday, and I finished the letter by saying that we have a most wondrous Rebbe. Let's do it his way.
Yeah, I thought I was thinking the whole shirt. I was thinking, trade in your.
And that's the way it is. Let's do it the Rebbe's way.
Yeah.
Bumper sticker. Bumper sticker. Do it the Rebbe's way.
Then
Give it
if we
up.
do,
Surrender.
then we're only following the plan of the Bria. So we couldn't do anything more certain that he could. He couldn't have a better bet than that.
There's some more folks in the Bible.
It's the best bet you could have. You have a knife, lady.
The best investment.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu
No, nothing else? No? No?
Put it on the table. One, two,
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei
Amen.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam.
Incredible how he fits such a big God in this little book. It's incredible how he fits such a big God in this little book. See me?
That's very interesting what the Rebbe says here about Chabad Breishis. When you get to the Bedichua, there's a prayer that they found in the notes of the Bedichua. Nowadays, a lot of the prayers are hidden, and some people even in the Lubavitch say that they found a prayer that the Bedichua said to say before Havdalah on Motzei Shabbos. That's in Yiddish. That's written in Yiddish. And so some people say that they should translate it into Russian Kodesh, so a lot of people would be able to. So they say, I saw in a big Polish Sefer that he writes that you should leave it in Yiddish, because the function of the Bedichua is that before Havdalah, Shabbos is already gone out, but you haven't reached quite the within the Chol, you haven't reached quite because you haven't made Havdalah yet. So it's like the linkage between the tremendous elevation of Shabbos and the going into and therefore the Yiddish language is the same. The Yiddish language is connected with the greatness of Yidden, but it's a jargon. It's a language that has got to do with the everyday function of the world. And therefore the Bedichua and his greatness was able to link between the two. It's very similar to what the Rebbe said here about Chabad Breishis. Just the way the Rebbe puts the whole thing is tremendously elevated. But that's what I saw in a Sefer, that's why you should at least try and say part of the prayer in Yiddish, even if not the whole lot of it, but you should try and say at least a few words. Yeah, it's a very geschmack. It's a nuzak. I have it at home. The prayer of the Bedichua. It's also brought down in Sforim. I have a sefer where they bring it like as part of the sefer. And so that's like an amazing, I saw that as a very interesting point that links him with this whole explanation that he went into that you should say it in Yiddish because you want to bring it into the Kiddush of the Shabbos into the Yud, into Chol. That's why he wrote it in Yiddish. He didn't write it in Russian. He wrote it lechatchila in Yiddish.
Chaim.
Yeah.
Chaim.
It's a Bedichua. Yeah, Chaim.
With the Mama Nod.
Chaim, man.
Thanks for the time.
Call him a boy. Chaim, yeah. Chaim, like.
Rabbi Yitzchak ben Sora Shosha. Rabbi Yitzchak ben Sora Shosha. Wie der Name? Wie der Name? Sora Shosha.
Ja. It's an under that. Das hat man nicht so Havdalah. Aber das, der Meile von seinem Namen, wird das allein withheld. But here's a prayer that he wrote that you should say before you make Haftarah. So some people say it after Haftarah. But the Ikka and the Kud is that it's meant to be before Haftarah.
Does Lubavitch have that custom?
I don't know. I don't want to make any new minhagim. I don't know if all the Lubavitch don't want to make any new minhagim. I don't know if all the Lubavitch just say it. Oh, but I personally say it.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Is the
For
Lubavitch
years and years ago when I lived
What?
in Bnei Brak and I had all my Polish friends and all my... I used to teach Polish guys Chassidus a lot. I sort of got, I picked up a few of their very interesting points. So,
There's a guy in Yeshiva who says it. Makes everyone wait for Abdullah.
but there's some people in Lubavitch who say,
I am.
so listen, to show you just how the unbelievable accuracy of the Rebbe here and the way the Rebbe has put his case so simply and so part of the whole Bria. We live here in Tzfat, and Tzfat is the Rabbanut of the Beis Yosef. And the Rebbe said that the Beis Yosef was not only just the Rav in Tzfat, he was the Mora, the Kol Ara Yisrael. He was the Rav of the whole Eretz Yisrael. So the Rebbe brings down the famous psak of the Beis Yosef, based on a Gemara, Masechta Eruvin, that if Goyim are coming to the border cities of where Yidden live, even if they haven't come yet, but they're expected to be coming, or there's a chashash that they might come, you have to go out on Shabbos and be machal Shabbos by carrying weapons and everything, and if necessary, to fight them with weapons and drive them back. So once there was a guy, I'm going back now a long time, years ago, I still have some of them. There was a guy who printed up these nice cards with this sucked in of the Beis Yosef, the Loshen in Shulchan Aruch, in Shin Kovtes, it is, in Hilchot Shabbos. And it was very nicely printed, and had a koteret, this is the Loshen of the Beis Yosef. So I remember I used to take it quite often on Friday afternoon to the mikveh in Bnei Brak, the big mikveh, one of the big mikvehs where a lot of the Bnei Brak Yidden come, a lot. And I used to leave them sort of laying around, a couple here, a couple there, not inside, but So one Friday afternoon, when I left some on strategic places where you could still leave Divrei Kedusha, I come on Sunday to go to the mikveh, and there was some Mishnah Shirol had written an answer on this card, and he said, Kol zeh hu rak be'eretz Yisrael, ובזמן שידן שולטים בארץ ישראל. He said, אבל בזמן הגולת, שאנחנו תחת שליטת הגויים, אז זה תגישון, כל זה אינו נכון ואינו שייך. That's a mafurish psaktin from the Beis Yosef. That's what he writes. So first, it just shows you how they were led into ta'ud by their leader. That is simply a ta'ud, because it's not mentioned Eretz Yisrael, not in the Gemara, and not in the Psach of the Beis Yosef. He doesn't say anything about Eretz Yisrael. But that is wherever Yidden are, and they have borders, wherever they have borders, and you have a city close to the border, and it's likely to be taken or threatened by Goy, you have to go out no matter where it is. It's got nothing to do with Eretz Yisrael. It doesn't mention Eretz Yisrael, the cloud. And it doesn't say anything about any time. It's just an everlasting din that no matter where Eretz Yisrael is, in Poland, wherever. If you have weapons and have the ability, you've got to go out and stop the Goyim coming. So I wrote him. I took one of the cards, turned on the back, and I wrote him. And I said, "B'mchilas kol teirosei, as Parshas Torah, you know. That's not the pshat, not in the Gemara, not in the Beis Yosef. And it's an everlasting din that doesn't have to do with this man kolas or the man Shabbat Yisrael. And look carefully in the Lashon, and you won't find the Eretz Yisrael mentioned. It doesn't say anything about the kolas or the time the Yidden were in Eretz Yisrael. It doesn't mention the Peklam. It's a din clothing. And I said, and that is the Rabbi Yisrael Roa, based on the Psak Din of the Rav of the whole Eretz Yisrael. And I put it in a big place where you would have to see it. I stuck it up on the wall. And I came a few days later, and it had been taken down. So that means that somebody read it. Mishu Karacha, and there was no answer.
It was accepted.
Oh, he didn't answer me back. Because there's nothing to answer.
But they should attack the
He
non-Jews.
didn't answer me back. I don't want to blow my own trumpet. I don't want to say, oh, you see, I was right and he was. That's not the point, that's for sure. It just shows you that if you don't have the pure knowledge and the pure look at Torah, but you look at Torah kilo, that we're under the rule of Goyim, and we have to go according to what they say, then you fall into error. You misinterpret certain basic issues. You follow? And that's what I learned from that whole thing. And this Sikha of the Dvar Malchus just bears out. The Rebbe learns it in just the whole Seder of Rashi and the simple development of the Psukim and the whole Bria and how, and he comes to the simple conclusions, you know. And that's it. Of Amela, we have to realize that Baruch Hashem, we have a wondrous Rebbe, and all we got to do is just try and do it his way and build yourself we're going to win through. You know.
Amen.
They have to. And the Goyim will be happy. They won't be, except for Mishra Goyim, and that's the Arab, but they're the Goyim of Amalek anyway. It's not going to help with them anything. Just have to go ahead without reckoning with them. Follow? And the present developments in America indicate that there's a certain swing in that direction. What the Rebbe said, if you will say the right thing to the Koyach of Esau in the modern generation, it will click with him, and he will repeat back, and he will say exactly what you should be saying.
Wow.
And that's what's happening. And he's saying things that they should be saying over here. Yeah? Because somehow or another, somebody's had the guts to tell him the truth. And that's what's happening. It's just, how does the old saying have it in English? It's as simple as all that. Of a manuscript. And it goes back to the Alter Rebbe, that the Alter Rebbe didn't want Napoleon. Yeah, the Alter Rebbe wanted that the Goyim should realize that there's a rule of the Eibishter over the world, and they have their right place within that rule. You follow? And they got to listen to what they're supposed to be doing. But not to give in to all the titles and everything, and let man just be a paradigm that runs civilization. And that's what would happen. And so it all begins with the Alter Rebbe, the whole amazing yachas towards the Yom HaSoilon, and his whole connection with King Alexander that there was at the time. And the Alter Rebbe said he's a loyal citizen of the king. That's what the Alter Rebbe said. Because he saw that through that approach, he would have the right control over the view of the Goyim of what they're supposed to be doing. And that's in effect what happened. It's amazing. Absolutely mind-boggling when you think of it. And the Rebbe is the re-expression of that unbelievable wisdom of the Alter Rebbe in our time and age. In our very complex world, the Rebbe is the re-expression, the final expression of what the Alter Rebbe began. And the whole relationship with the Kohen, and the whole stressing to the Kohen that they have to do the right thing. No. And that was basically what he claimed to the judges on Yudtis Kislev. He said, you have to realize what is the truth. You guys have got a requirement by Hashem to paskin according to what is the right truth. Yeah. And that was the basic Tana that the Rebbe had in all of his answers that he wrote. Oh. Avamela, Hashem should all came to your love.
Amen.
Yeah.
And we should see through, and Shabbat Breishis should give us the power to link all the unbelievable elevation of Tishrei with the everyday world. And we should start with the rectal foot, with the right foot. And as their whole saying has it, in a muzzle tikashora.
Amen.
A mazel to go up.
Sure.
Yeah, the Chaim.
Chaim.
And the Schluss.